The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, on Facebook live stream, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Ganga FM in Jirapa, Sun City Radio Keta, in Kilgi FM, Bole, ATL FM, Cape Coast, and Radio Max in Takrady. It's also on myjoyonline.com app and Spotify. And coming up,
much as possible, everybody must avoid an indoor event. To be in the interest of all of us that such an event doesn't take place.
Ghana Health Service to enforce restrictions on large indoor events this Christmas, despite a pushback by some event organizers who say it is too late to cancel their shows.
Oh, we cannot change the venue. Because, you see, again, even outdoor venues come with their own set of challenges.
But right now, I don't think it's a feasible one because a lot of payments have been made, especially for venues. So, for example, what we will go tell National Theatre.
We have details as public health experts warn a failure to contain the recent spikes in infections will drive the country into a fourth wave of the virus.
The first two waves spread a lot of countries on global sub-region. It was the fourth wave that got to Africa. In that wave, Ghana then, the data talks about losing a lot of people.
Also, as more identifiable groups condemn the violence exhibited last Monday by MPs, the MPP majority has been explaining the cause of the injury allegedly sustained by the Youth and Sports Minister.
When you see the face of my brother Mustafa Yusuf, it just can't be a blow that gave him that cut. When a blow gives you a cut, you see it.
From the House of Chiefs, which has also been commenting on the issue. Also, as consideration and passage of the e-levy is put on ice, we explore its implication on the economy as the projected 6 billion cedis expected to be accrued from it remains a mirage for now.
We have this triple helix of unemployment, which is really quite debilitating if you look at the numbers. And then we have our debt.
In sports.
Come next month, Ghana Premier League match venues would have COVID-19 vaccination centers in a GFA collaborative effort with the Ghana Health Service.
And later, we're still counting down to Christmas, and the Liberation Circle and other principal streets of Accra transformed with lights ahead of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. We'll hear from one of the people behind the annual beautification, who says most of the designs were locally made.
If you go to the Ridge Runabout, you'll find that a young man has used plastic bottles to create a Christmas tree.
Stay with us for details. As always, thank you for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I'm Arba Kumsin. Let's begin from the Ashanti region, where Joy News is learning suspected armed robbers have gunned down a mobile money vendor and stolen an undisclosed amount of money at Konongo in the Ashanti region. The two armed men, according to eyewitnesses, shot him in the chest after he refused to give them a bag containing money. Erastus Asare Donko is in the community. He joins us on the line with the latest. Erastus, what more can you report?
So where I'm standing now is the crime scene, and there are pools of blood both behind his residence and on the ground leading to where he parked his vehicle. Now, this place is called Abosom Chenja. It's a suburb of Konongo in the Ashanti region. Now, we understand that where he parked his vehicle is about 50 meters to where he lives. Just as he was entering his house, two men accosted him there and demanded that he hands over a bag containing money. And when he refused, he was shot in the chest. I have with me here Thomas, who is the assembly member for the Abosom Chenja area.
Yo me pa chenra yina besinda no pe yanti asemte nya ba kwa family oye mobile money ejuma no start most be 15 years ni ye ka kono ngwa santi achim ha oye mobile money ejuma na ye nua ya ye ejuma na kwa chire yi pa na tembia be na wapon na wabefie ahomache na wasore na okọ ni training owi na okọ na ejuma ene se ndro obeduru ye park in the car owura ni fia ne se ye twituo no so a ye de bon wonso ye de no koduru hospital na wayɛ nyame dea nti ɛnro a ɛbɛsi anɔpɛ yi asɛm ɛsi wɔ Konongo Asante Achim Bronu bi efe na busumpi eja no say na ya tie nua bema baako a okan ye ho free.
So that's the assembly member for the area. The regional police commander himself has been here together with his team, the public relations officer as well. They have promised a reward for anybody who will help, in the arrest of the suspect at the moment. He left behind 4 children, the youngest of them, 2 months.
All right, many thanks. Erastus Asari Donko with that update from Konongo community in the Ashanti region, where suspected armed robbers have gunned down a mobile money vendor, and they stole as well an undisclosed amount of money. As you heard Erastus say, the regional police command has promised a reward for anyone who would volunteer information leading to the arrest of the suspects. From the Ashanti region, let's head to the Western region, and a second crash involving a train at Nkontompo there in the space of 4 days has left residents puzzled. Tuesday's incident saw a tipper truck collide with a manganese haulage train around 7:30 p.m., leaving at least 3 persons injured, according to eyewitnesses. Assembly member for the Nkontompo electoral area, Anthony Ephraim, told Adum FM, our sister station, that the driver of the tipper truck attempted to speed through the railroad crossing at Sekendi in Nkontompo, ignoring warnings that a train was approaching and leading to the collision.
Canon speak no, anyazo botu wejina or because as the belly knew I crossing keeper no wejina kweni mama na red flag do. Which is other stop car. And to be there anyone prevent their car,
There's no way the truck could have stopped, looking at the speed at which it was moving. Not even the loud horns from the train could do anything about it. So the accident was actually caused by the truck driver. This is the same train that responded to the first accident at Manso. It was now returning when this incident happened. I've been to the hospital. There are 6 injured people, including 4 workers on the train and the other 2 who were in the truck. But when I returned today, they said they had discharged 2, remaining 4.
2-year driver and mate. So 4. Yeah, but ne pay me crow now got to race for 4 no, including with train driver and Kasa. But driver no car driver no any mate no. Man kwatu no ntim business for no say what dispatch ibinum any day ni fa no dispatch ni ibinum one e fine to dispatch ibinum.
So that's Assembly member for the Nkontompo electoral area, Anthony Ephraim, speaking to our sister station, Adum FM. The injured, including the driver of the truck and 1 other passenger, including the conductor of the train, are receiving treatment at the Ifia Nkwanta Hospital in the Western region. To health now, and the Ghana Health Service says it will go ahead to enforce its latest restrictions on large indoor events this Christmas, despite a pushback by some event organizers who say it's too late to cancel their shows. The Health Service served notice that it will not allow large indoor events following the latest spikes in the country's COVID cases. Ghana's active COVID-19 cases currently stand at 1,602 after 321 new cases were recorded in the last reporting window. This is the highest jump in new infections since the end of the 3rd wave. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, joins us on the line with details on our current situation. Fred, so how is our situation looking like? Give us a breakdown of the cases and distribution.
Well, in the last few hours, or about an hour ago, the Ghana Health Service published fresh data, and this is for events on the 16th of December, and it shows that we recorded 437 new cases, bringing our active cases now to 1,954. 2 persons have also died in that period since the data you gave, bringing our deaths to 1,263. Now, if you check the difference between the active cases on the 15th, which you mentioned, and 16th, which was released today, the difference is 352. That's a huge jump. And if you look at the chart from the Ghana Health Service, from the 1st of October till 18th of November, we had a steady decline, bringing our cases close to somewhere around around 600 thereabouts. Between 18th November and 7th December, we had stable figures around the same 600. But from the 8th of December till today, we've seen a very sharp rise. And about 8th of December is when Omicron was detected.
Very worrying. But Fred, we know that the Ghana Health Service has ramped up its vaccination efforts. What is the status of that exercise?
Well, that's still ongoing, and at many centers, people are taking the vaccines, except that there are some who are not willing to go to the vaccination centers for fear of maybe needles or for some other reasons. But it is going on. It is a bit slow, but it's still ongoing. And the Ghana Health Service reports that we're making some progress towards our target of 20 million by the end of the year.
All right. Many thanks. That's Fred Smith, who's head of our health desk here at Joy News. Now, director at the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, Professor Gordon Awandari, is warning that the country could be looking at a possible fourth wave of the virus if steps are not taken to check celebrations.
I think we just have to take some steps, because the rate at which the cases are rising, you can imagine that after the holidays, we're going to have a big surge in our hands. So we have to take some steps.
Prof, when you say the rate at which it's rising, what are we looking at here?
Well, I mean, if you look at or if you talk to all the testing labs, the number of positive cases they are finding is just increasing every day. You understand? So that tells you that we are in the midst of a surge.
Well, even though the first three waves in the African region have not been as devastating as in Europe and other areas, pharmacist and CDD fellow Dr. Kwame Asiedu Sapong says a failure to keep a leash on the fourth wave could be deadly for Ghana.
Africa historically has said that we have, for some reason that science hasn't been able to elucidate yet, we have had a milder brand of all the variants that have come in. Is this going to be our Waterloo variant? We don't know. You only need to go back to the Spanish flu of the 18s to realize that the first two waves spared a lot of countries and on the global sub-region. It was the fourth wave that got to Africa. And if you check history, in that wave, Ghana then, the data talks about losing a lot of people. So are we going to allow this fourth time lucky and get hoodwinked? I am not too sure. We just have to protect ourselves.
Well, this afternoon, the Ghana Health Service says it is working with the Ghana Tourism Authority to enforce its latest restrictions on large indoor events. This is in spite of the pushback by the event organizers, who say it's too late to cancel their shows. Listen to some of them.
Oh, we cannot change the venue. Because, you see, again, even outdoor venues come with their own set of challenges. I can even tell you that at a lot of these indoor events, before they start, there are videos that are played that preach all the protocols. They go through all the motions from the entrance. There are temperature guns from the security checkpoint. There are hand washing stands. There are sanitizer stands. Every time they step out and they are coming back in, they sanitize again. And all through, they keep their mask on.
With it being too late to cancel, in some regards, yes. But are we well prepared for the pandemic and anything that may spread from it? We are also well prepared. They would rather that we have an event like Explosion of Joy outdoors. A lot of these firms, we make payments very early. So for a place like National Theatre, you are paying a long time. It's not now you go tell them, say, oh, I did try cancel. We appreciate the suggestion. It's a beautiful one, having it outdoors. But right now, I don't think it's a feasible one, because a lot of payments have been made, especially for venues. So, for example, what we go tell National Theatre? You get where I'm coming from. So the likes of Uncle Eboha, all these people who are, you made an announcement about Latif Abubakar. He's also having us at the Nat Hall. What would you tell someone like that whose event needs to be done indoors? The Hamatan is moving mad now, so how will we do it?
You had some event organizers there. We can now hear from Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, who spoke earlier on the Super Morning Show.
We are encouraging only open door events as short as possible. And so we have a team that we're working with the tourism board, but as much as possible, everybody must avoid an indoor event.
But Dr. Kumar-Boaji, there are a lot of indoor events being advertised. What is going to happen? I mean, you've talked about you teaming up with the Ghana Tourism Authority. What are you going to do now? Yesterday there was an indoor event. There will be indoor events, on the 24th, 25th, 26th. What are you going to do about these indoor events?
Well, we'll recommend that you do it in an open space for the sake of all Ghanaians.
If it can't
we are
be
working
done,
with Tourism Board, who have the authority to engage such people and also give them. And we are working very closely together.
So if it can't be done in the open space around that time, will the event still come off?
I say we will continue to engage.
Yes, but I want to understand something. So as you engage...
Well, it should be in the interest of all of us that such an event doesn't take place. But I say that we are not going to say, by all means, don't do it. We have the process of engagement and providing alternatives for such events to take place.
Alternatives. And the alternatives will be change of venue.
An open space.
An open space.
Where it's safer. Where we feel all through the safer.
Okay.
You heard Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaji, speaking earlier on the Super Morning Show with host Winston Amwa. Now, as you know, Parliament passed the appropriation bill before going on recess yesterday, giving government the legal mandate to spend in 2022, but the president will be doing so without the much anticipated revenue from the e-levy. This is because the passage of the controversial bill has been put on hold. Government is expecting to generate over 6 billion cedis by the end of the year if successful in the implementation of the 1.75% levy on electronic transactions. Listen to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta justifying the levy.
E-levy in terms of having alternatives, I think that's something that we need to get clear. We have this triple helix of unemployment, which is really quite debilitating if you look at the numbers. And then we have our debt that we need to take care of to reduce our interest costs, but really to also be able to mobilize resources internally. And so we are not subject to all of these foreign exchange risks, and we can plan much better. And then all of us, of course, rail against the issue of infrastructure, especially roads to open up our country. But the record of who is paying for this, for the 30.8 million, is quite abysmal.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta there. Well, the minority spokesperson on finance, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen, says his side remains resolute in the rejection of the levy.
Yes, the ordinary people of Ghana want roads, they want hospitals.
And they can't get that without revenue.
They don't want their medium of exchange taxed.
So how are they going to get? How are they going to get the roads?
You see,
the hospitals,
they are low-hanging
schools.
fruits. They are low-hanging fruits. Evans, since this administration took office in January 2017, tax exemptions alone that they've granted, import tax exemption and then domestic tax exemption, to date is 17.5 billion Ghana cedis going to multinational corporations. They should first stop the tax exemptions. There will be enough for them. You don't need to tax mobile money to make that money. There's wastage in the system. Cut it and save the money.
They haven't done it, but no government has also succeeded in doing that either.
But you see, it is ballowing. It's getting out of hand. Governance is when you listen to your opposition person, and if there's sense in what he's saying, you take it.
So that's a minority spokesperson on finance, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen, speaking to Evans Mensah on PM Express yesterday. So how will this impact on the economy? Joining us on the line is Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, of the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Korte. Many thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you, and good afternoon to your distinguished listeners.
So earlier, ISE had raised concerns about the levy, and as it stands, Parliament will have to reconvene next year before a decision will be taken. So how will this impact on the economy and government spending?
Certainly, there is some sort of uncertainty, and as a government, when government is planning in the midst of uncertainty, it becomes difficult. So government is going to spend, is going to run the economy less about 6-point-something billion revenue that may or may not come, depending on how the government is able to dialogue and get the other side on this side to agree on this e-levy. So basically, there's going to be uncertainty in terms of planning, uncertainty in terms of spending, and that would have repercussions on the economy. There are some planned expenditures that have to go on, and there are some that will due to uncertainty, government cannot spend. And that is quite difficult for anybody managing either a business or an economy.
So, beyond the e-levy, what more can government do to raise revenue to meet its obligations? You earlier heard from the minority spokesperson on finance, Casey Alato-Fortin. He's suggesting, government stops the tax exemptions and also cut wastage in the system. Is that the way to go?
Well, we have proposed a reduction in the rate within the 1.75 is punitive. So we could look at something in the range of 0.5 to 0.7%. If that is done, we are very confident that more people will continue to use the system or the services, and government can raise more revenue. There are other sources of raising revenue. The tax exemption. If we rationalize the tax exemption regime, government will save a lot of money. Then also non-tax revenue. We've always been talking about tax revenue, but there are some non-tax revenue measures. Property rates, for instance. I don't think the assemblies have been able to collect this revenue efficiently. How do we get them to collect more so that government can find resources to tackle the development program that it is targeted to undertake?
Very well.
And I believe there are several others that government can use.
All right.
And of course, the issue of trying to avoid waste, trying to get efficient spending, because no matter how much you raise, if you don't spend efficiently, you continue to raise more, continue to tax the same people.
Very well. Very well. Many thanks for your time. That's Professor Peter Korte. He is the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research with his perspective there. Let's stay a little longer on events in Parliament. And as you may be aware, the House went on recess on a bad note following the brawl that characterized the sitting. The development has been condemned by Ghanaians. The Youth and Sports Minister, Mustafa Yusuf, had his shirt allegedly torn and is currently nursing facial injuries. The Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Eko Asifwa, says he was attacked with a razor blade.
Youth and Sports. I have told you that, and
you said he was cut. You saw him.
Absolutely. When you see the face of my brother Mustafa Yusuf, it just can't be a blow that gave him that cut. When a blow gives you a cut, you see it. But I am contending with the evidence that I saw on the face of my brother Mustafa Yusuf, that it can only be a sharp edge.
Which part of the face was cut?
For the sake of, some private. You see, you asked me about the pictures, if you have it and all that. We have decided that we will keep, because he's a minister of state.
But you could say if his face is cut, because eventually he's going to.
His face is cut.
He will show up
on. Chief of staff, Chief Hip, have all granted interviews that indeed his face was cut.
No, I'm saying he will show up eventually. We'll get to see him in public, and so we'll get to know which part is cut.
We have been advised that we should keep everything private about this, especially because he's a minister of state. We do not want to cause any kind of disaffection for his family and all that. And so as to where his face was cut and all those things, for me, is immaterial. What is material is that, yes, the fact has been established, and in fact I have seen it, that his face was cut, one, and this was caused by my own very good friend, the Ayesuano MP, the Honorable Teddy. As I've said, I don't know whatever was in his hand for him to have engaged in that, but I can only conclude that it was a sharp edge that was used to cause that damage on the face.
And that's MP for Old Tafo, Vincent Eko Asifwa. He was speaking earlier on the AM show. Well, the MP for South Dai, Roxanne Dafiamepo, disputes this.
So if the minority resisted this, how can we be faulted?
I'll respond. How is that?
Yes, how can we be faulted? And when you are doing a head count, once you come in and you get counted, you don't go out. But what they did was, they got the member for Formina, who is the second deputy speaker, to get counted. I ticked him. He went to sit down. And then, moments later, they asked him to go out. When a member is in the chamber and wants to go out, there's no rule that says that you can forbid that. Because
So that's MP for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson Dafia Mekpo. Well, in a related development, the National House of Chiefs is urging Parliament to restrain from the use of violence in periods of deadlock. This comes after the MPs were involved in fisticuffs on Monday. It's the second time this Parliament has been involved in chaos. President of the House, Ojia Hunho Yao Jibi II, explains such actions of Parliament affect the entire country. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're taking a short break, but before that, our top story: Ghana Health Service to enforce restrictions on large indoor events this Christmas, despite a pushback by some event organizers who say it is too late to cancel their shows. We heard from some health experts. Also, as more identifiable groups condemned the violence exhibited last Monday by MPs, the MPP majority, you heard them explaining the cause of the injury allegedly sustained by the Youth and Sports Minister. After the break, we have sports, and later we're still counting down to Christmas, and the Liberation Circle and other principal streets of Accra have been transformed with lights ahead of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. We'll hear from one of the people behind the annual beautification, who says most of the designs were locally made.
If you go to the Ridge Roundabout, you'll find that a young man has used plastic bottles to create a Christmas tree.
You're welcome back to the Midday News. It's time for sports, and Oreku Ampofo joins me in the studio.
Thank you, Arava. Now, the Ghana Football Association and Ghana Health Service will from next month work together to vaccinate unvaccinated football fans. Dr. Dacosta Boaji revealed to Joy Sports that various Ghana Premier League match centres will be allocated COVID-19 vaccination centres starting January next year. This is a part of the GFA's no vaccination, no entry policy.
Bear in mind that the GFA themselves have also announced that come January, should you not have the vaccine or the vaccine card, or if you are not vaccinated, you will not be able to enter various stadia. In partnership with them, we've linked them to our regional health directorates, our district health directorates, and vaccination exercises are going on in the various stadia. Now, in January too, we will still be working with them. So if you are going to the stadium, for example, and you are not vaccinated, they will direct you to some of our centers, like we'll set a center here and a stadium clinic so that we're able to still vaccinate people.
So if you want to keep on watching Ghana Premier League for next year, you have to
be
get
vaccinated.
Yeah, that's your sport for now.
All right, many thanks, Oreku. Now, it's the most anticipated family event this Christmas. I'm talking about the Joy FM Frital Family Party in the Park. The event kicks off at 10 through to 6 p.m. on December 27 at the Ebri Botanical Gardens. And one thing organizers are promising is getting your favorite radio presenters to serve you and play all the competitive games with you. Listen to some patrons who attended the party 2 years ago.
Joy FM icons help arrange the place. Even the table I'm sitting on now, I think Kojo Yankson, Emmanuel Ato, and Co actually arranged the table for me. So my question was, oh, can I sit down? So guys, go ahead and sit down. And I was so amazed. I was touched. The way they were so humble, came down on nerve, or came down to earth, and surprised. I mean, it was fun. It was nice seeing the likes of Doriando. I mean, serving me, so to say, in my heart or my cup, whatever you call it, and it's beautiful. I think Joy FM is a great thing.
It's lively, it's interesting. Every year I come with the family and we are happy with it. We are happy about it.
So the Joy FM Frital Family Party in the Park is on December 27 at the Ebri Botanical Gardens. Tickets are going for 50 cedis for a family of 6. Let's stay on Christmas, and it's just 2 days to Christmas Day. And the annual beautification of the Liberation Circle and other principal streets of Accra with lights is back. One of the people behind the transformation of the capital into a city of light is CEO of Jandel Limited, Afi Amoro, who says most of the materials and designs used for the lights were locally made.
And we are very happy that the foreign component has not been too heavy. And we have also Ghanaianized some of the products. If you go to the Ridge Roundabout, you'll find that a young man has used plastic bottles to create a Christmas tree. We gave him exposure, and this is what we want to do.
Yes, I've been there myself, and I have to say it is beautiful. Do pass by too. But that's how we end the news. Our top story: Ghana Health Service to enforce restrictions on large indoor events this Christmas, despite a pushback by some event organizers who say it is too late to cancel their shows. There's that and many more on myjoyonline.com. My name is Arba Kumsin. Thanks for your attention. But coming up next after the news is Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otable. He's preaching on the topic Words of Salvation.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Joy 99.7 FM. Radio for the discerning listener.
When you want it, just move it. When you